Hey guys, welcome back to FM Driving School. In today's video, we're going to go through the top 10 reasons why a student fails a driving test. And in today's video, we're going to go through number 9 by the official reason from DVSA why a student fails a driving test. Before we start, don't forget to check out our site fmdrivingschool.co.uk where you see all the latest tips in how to pass your theory test and your driving test. Don't forget guys to like, share and subscribe. It's only a button but makes a big difference to our channel. So here we are on the official DVSA's website and we're number 9 as to why a student fails a driving test. If you want to catch number 10, please go to our channel FM Driving School and you'll see the videos posted up there. Now, number 9 is not having control of the vehicle when moving off. Let's go through exactly what that means and we'll give you our reasons and our experiences with the driving examiners why they'll put this as a failure. Let's just quickly go through exactly what they're saying here and then we're going to give you our take. So you must be able to move off under control, including on a slope or hill gradient, from behind a parked vehicle or at junctions. Any mistakes you make in this area will be counted under the move off controlled for on your driving test results. If we pull out the driving exam mark sheet, this is the exact same mark sheet your driving examiners will be using, and you can see all the sections that you're going to be marked under. Now number 9, which is what we're talking about, the 9th reason as to why a student fails a driving test, is this section here. If I circle it, moving off, you can see you have two parts to it: the safety aspects of it and the control aspects. And the S here, as we talked about previously, is a serious fault and the D is a dangerous fault. If you get any marks on the S or the D section, it's counted as a major fault and you'll fail your driving test. Let's go back now to the DVSA's website and see what exactly they mean by failing by moving off. Okay, so we got stalling and rolling back when trying to move off. So when you move off at a green traffic light or during a hill start, you stall the car and roll back a considerable distance. Or you repeatedly stall when moving off. Throughout your test, you repeatedly stall the car when you're trying to move off. We're going to give you a few examples in a bit to show you exactly what they mean by this. Okay, what else? Stalling repeatedly when moving off on one occasion. On one occasion during your test, when you move off, you repeatedly stall because of things like being in the wrong gear or poor clutch control. This results in the driving examiner giving you guidance. And I'm going to give you a few examples from my experience seeing the driving examiner in action and why some of our students got major faults for this. Or the final reason is trying to move off without selecting a gear and then rolling back. Oh, that's quite dangerous. And when you try to move off, you do not select a gear, then this causes the car to roll back a considerable distance. Obviously, when you're doing automatic, you won't face any stalling, but it is possible for you to roll back if you accidentally, for example, took your foot off the brake. So that's for automatic later on. Let's give you a few practical examples to better understand DVSA's reason why moving off is one of the top 10 reasons a student fails a driving test. Here you can hear the student revving the car because they tried to move off without braking really. They didn't roll back, so that's why it's not a major fault as of yet. And as we're moving, you're going to notice it's a hill now, which is what DVS is talking about. Can they move off without rolling back, without stalling? Let's have a look. So we're driving. In this occasion, yes, they managed to move off without stalling.
Go left on the roundabout and take the first exit, A3005, South Road.
I'm just gonna stop you. We'll stop you again. Put the handbrake up. The car's right behind us. Find the biting point and now put the handbrake down. Okay. So the BMW behind us is too close this time.
So there you have one practical example from DVSA's website, this one here, number 9, not having control of the vehicle when moving off, and as they broke it down, stalling and rolling back when trying to move off. You saw a practical example of the student rolling back and not really having control. Why was there no control? Let's show you this. When you move off at a green traffic light or during a hill start, which is where we were at, you stall the car, which is what happened, and roll back a considerable distance. Now, this distance is what's the most important part. It depends how close the car behind you is or how far you roll back. In our case, the car was right behind us. I had to take control twice, as you saw in the video, because the student was gonna roll back. Now, there's a few ways to compensate, which was to use the handbrake in that situation, or have really good clutch control that you don't roll back. Or number 2, maybe the car behind was a bit further back, then you had a slightly bit of leeway that in case you did roll back, maybe you will not hit the car behind. So that was one practical example of failing your driving test, the official reason why a student fails.
Okay, right, yeah?
Yes, please, yeah.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Wait, 1 in it. I go to 1 in it.
You tell me.
Yeah. Wait. I keep it on 1 in it.
I'll let you figure it out.
Okay.
Again, this is a good example of the official reason why a student fails a driving test, number 9, moving off. It's quite common. So if you look at DVS's website, they talk about stalling repeatedly without knowing what gear you're in, or maybe poor clutch control. So if you go back to the official DVS's website, the 9th reason why a student fails a driving test, not having control of the vehicle when moving off. And we're now talking specifically about stalling repeatedly when moving off on one occasion. So on one occasion during your test, when you move off, you repeatedly stop because of things like being in the wrong gear or poor clutch control. This results in the driving examiner giving you guidance. So if you go back to the example here, the student stalls and then asks me if I should go back to gear 1. Now,
You tell me.
it's too early for me to give guidance. We're now assessing the student. If they kept stalling, what the DVSA website means by the examiner giving guidance
figure
is
it
the
out.
fact that the examiner may now say to you, yes, it's in gear 1, or may say to you, maybe you're incorrectly in gear 2 or 3, and you try to move off in a higher gear, resulting in the car stalling. Now, if this happens in too many occasions, the examiner could say to you, you're in the incorrect gear, please go back to gear 1. That's the examiner intervening and thus making you fail your exam. And that's exactly what this site means by stalling repeatedly when moving off on one occasion. So as we said, maybe you're in the incorrect gear and you've stolen that gear, but you forget to move it back down to gear 1, because obviously you're constrained, you're not fully aware, you're in exam mode, you're under pressure, you're stressed out, and you forget to go back to gear 1, and you've now stalled 2 or 3 or 4 times. Usually after the 2nd or 3rd time, the examiner does tend to intervene. Or if you generally just have poor clutch control. Now, if you have poor clutch control, it could be partly because you're not ready for the test, or it could be the nerves. And that's something you have to go through with your driving instructor. So that goes back to this part here, repeatedly stalling when moving off. So throughout the whole test, you kept stalling on more than 2, 3, 4, 5 occasions. That will result in the examiner thinking that you don't actually have control of the car, and again, meaning that you'll fail your driving test. There you saw a student stalling on the hill, but luckily they didn't roll back. The reason why me as an examiner or as an instructor doing that mock test there gave a major fault was they restarted the car unsafely. So had you start the car safely, you should brake, handbrake, clutch down, go to neutral. There's different ways of doing it. You could brake, clutch down, restart the car as long as it's in gear. What the student did there was they left the car in gear, restarted the car, therefore the car jumped forward. Now that's something DVSA haven't mentioned here, but that's something you should definitely discuss with your instructor. For myself, having taught for many years, I'll definitely put that in there as to how to pass your driving test. And going back to the final part, which I myself haven't seen as much of from my students, because we make sure they're in gear, that's why, is trying to move off without selecting a gear, then rolling back. When you try to move off, you do not select a gear, then this causes the car to roll back in considerable distance. Now, as a teacher, we always make sure that our students always goes to gear 1. There's a routine involved, which we drill into our students. Gear 1, biting point, then 6-point check. So that's probably why I myself have never seen my students make this particular mistake, but it is up there. It's telling you that you put you might think you're in gear, you try to move off, you put the handbrake down, and then the car starts rolling back. So be aware of that. I myself have not seen that happen to any of my students, but be aware of it. There you have it, the top 10 reasons why a student fails a driving test. At number 9 is moving off. And as we mentioned, from the DVSA's website, the official reason why a student fails a driving test is 4 reasons in the moving off section. One is, as you move off, you roll back too much.
Stop you again. The car's right behind us.
So for example, there isn't enough distance between you and the car behind, and the examiner now has to take control, either verbally like I have in this situation by explaining to the student what to do, or physically by braking. Or could be that you stall too many times on one occasion. So for example, you're at this junction here and you stall about 3 times. Now the examiner had to intervene. And as mentioned, it could be that you're in the incorrect gear, that's why you stall, or you have poor clutch control. And if you do have poor clutch control, this could result into you stalling in too many occasions in your driving test. If this happens, another reason why a driving examiner may fail you. And the final reason is you forget to get into gear while you try to move off, so then the car starts to roll back. Now in that situation, it's counted as a moving off fault and therefore a major fault in the driving test. That was the 9th most common reason why a student fails a driving test from DVSA, the official governing body for the driving test. Don't forget guys to go to our channel FM Driving School to see the other videos, as well as our site fmdrivingschool.co.uk to get loads of top tips from your fully qualified driving instructor. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe with FM Driving School.